Hello everyone, it's Sky here and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. I'm very excited to bring you our September color along voted on by our Clouds, Moon, and Rainbow members of the channel. Thank you guys so much. So they got to vote between a few different artists and they chose Hannah Lynn, which I was super surprised because I figured they'd be sick of Hannah Lynn. We do quite a bit on the channel, but I was very happily surprised to see them choose Hannah Lynn. And then I picked a few books that I want to work in, and they picked Mythical Maidens. And then I picked a few pages that I'd be willing to do. And the one that they picked is Willow Dryad. And I'm very excited for this one. It is a little bit funny because we did the Dryad from Kirby Rozan's, and I think that one was also voted on by them as well, but I could be wrong. Maybe that was one that I just chose or let everybody vote on. I'm not too sure, but yeah, they picked another Dryad, which will be super fun. I have so many ideas, but to be honest, I'm completely lost. I stared at my page for about 5 minutes, giving my phone some extra time to charge because I'm a slacker and I totally forgot to charge it last night. So showered, did laundry, got my phone charged, so we're good to go for at least one part. And was just kind of staring at it, and I don't know what to do. So we are going to be using the Prismacolor Premiers for this color along. I do have a couple pieces of paper in behind her as well. So this is what she looks like. So naturally I went over to the Hannah Lynn group like I always do when I need inspiration, because that's just the place to find it. And I was flipping through the albums and I found a few that I really like. So this one is by Amy Gifford. Here, I'm gonna just turn my ring light off for now so that way we don't have a super terrible, don't know what that word is, but thing on my phone. I've been at work all day. My brain is just mush. Anyways, so this one is by Amy Gifford. I absolutely love this. So I already knew full well that I want to do pink for sure. I want pink accents for her. I don't know why, but it just screams pink. I was originally thinking about doing all of her hair pink, but I'm also playing around with the idea of just doing pink streaks. So there's one indecisive moment there. I do love that Amy Gifford used the gray trees, and I love pink and gray together, but I also love pink and brown together, so I would be totally fine going both ways. I kind of like how even her skin and stuff, like her skin, her face and stuff is like the tree color. So I do kind of like that. This one is by Clair McCormick. Absolutely love this. So this I kind of saved just because I love the pink, and this kind of shows the pink and the gray together. So it would kind of show what it looked like if I went with pink and gray. Absolutely gorgeous. I think I might mimic her and try to do these sparkly bits as well. Of course, I will shout her out if we do that, but I think that would be super fun. I don't know if it'll show up as well on ours as it did on hers, just because she was so limited in her color palette, so it really shows up, but we'll see what we can do. This one was by Tabitha Ruth, so this is kind of like an option for doing the trees brown. I really like how muted this is, and this is kind of where I got the idea to maybe do pink streaks instead, because I just don't know how well it will look with having one color, whether we go with gray or brown, I'm not too sure yet, and then having her hair a different color. I think it just looks so nice having her hair the same color. And even with these ones, they're such limited palettes that the hair just kind of makes sense. So then we get into Candace Cottrell's. I love this one. So this is one where we kind of meld into a face color as well. And I actually really like this too. I think that looks really interesting. Again, we have very similar and limited palettes, so it's mostly browns. This is by Abilio Sarandas. I'm sorry if I'm butchering anybody's names. So I really like this one. So this is another one brown, and this is kind of where I was thinking if I do pink hair, it might not look that great. His looks good because he's got kind of like a bluey green, and he's already got that going on in most of the page. So it kind of blends in quite well, but I think with pink, it might stand out too much. So yeah, I'm not too sure about doing full on pink hair. And then this one I saved because the background is one thing that I do for sure know. I want to do kind of a sunrise background, and I want to recreate this one that I did on Snow White. I did use the Marco Ruffines for this one, so I just want to try and see if I can do that with the Prismacolor Premiers. I'm pretty sure that I've done lots of sunrise backgrounds with the primers, but I don't think I've done the blue. I think I usually go into like oranges or purples. At least I couldn't find an example for one that I've colored with the primers going from yellow to blue. So I want to try to do that. The only other thing I know for sure is the leaves. Here, we can turn this back on now. I do know that I want the leaves to be green. So I think we're going to start with the leaves and the background. So most of this bush kind of like underneath her is going to be a different color. And then I'm a little bit torn between the bush back here and this one, whether I want to do those the same, whether I want all three to be different, which one I want to match with the leaves. So I'm just like an indecisive mess. So we are going to do these leaves first and the background, I think. And then we're going to work our way from there because that'll give me a little bit of time to think about it and kind of see how the colors look on the paper. Anytime I'm stumped, I always go with what I'm certain of, and then we can build up on that. And who knows, everything I might talk about, we might end up doing something completely different. It's always a guessing game. So for the most part, I think I have everything ready, but I kind of forgot about the clouds in the background. So I'm just going to do a double take to figure out what I want to do with those, and I will meet you back. Okay, I think I'm going to do the clouds kind of like a mix of gray with like maybe like the yellow sun kind of poking through on them. I don't want to go super white because I don't want them to stand out too much from the background, but I also don't want them to be super colorful either. I want them to stand out a little bit. I want the right amount of standouting, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's zoom on in and we'll get started. Got a banana mud shake here. I love these things. I'm sure I've drank a few of them in recordings as well. And I also have some Jack Daniel's watermelon lemonade, I think, or just watermelon punch, I think. That one's pretty good, but it's a little bit too sweet. So that one I pour over a ton of ice and let it melt a little bit before I drink it. I wouldn't be adult coloring without a little bit of booze, right? Or even tea or coffee. Any of the above works. All right, so let's start on these leaves, I think. Don't know, my shadow's a little bit much. Maybe we should up the brightness, maybe 1. I think that's better. I just don't want my shadow kind of distracting, so I think, I mean, I can still kind of see it, but it's not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to start in with the espresso, and like I said, I do have a couple pieces of paper in behind here to kind of just protect the page from behind. So I'm going to add a little bit of the espresso on kind of like the tail end of most, if not all, of these leaves. We'll kind of play around with it and see. I wonder if, I'm just going to look at the references that I saved because I'm just wondering if some of this is also like bark or if everybody did them as leaves. Because this one right here looks like it could be bark. Same with this one, like kind of like coiled, almost like more like vines, sorry, not like bark, but looks like everybody did them as leaves and it actually looks pretty good. So we're going to go with it. Getting a little bit of a later start on this than I would like to, but at least we're started, I suppose. I would like to be filming part 3 right now. That would be great. My plan was on my last days off to film part 1 and 2, but ended up having to take Miss Miko to the vet. It went well. didn't cost as much as I feared, so I'm glad with that. It turns out poor little Miko has idiopathic cystitis, which I guess basically just means that she handles stress differently than other cats. So an analogy would be kind of like humans, when we stress out, we kind of feel it in our stomach, right? And I guess with cats that have idiopathic cystitis, they feel it in their bladders. So it kind of creates issues with the bladder, like UTIs and bladder infections and stuff like that. So apparently she gets stressed easily, and she'll go through like flare-ups, and the flare-ups will last like 1 to 2 weeks. And I mean, it kind of makes sense because we've always had issues with her with UTIs and whatnot, but I don't know, it just doesn't quite sit right with me on the fact of the stress, because she is not a stressed out cat at all. She is always like super chill seeming, and you know, she's a grumpy little butthead, honestly. She's got a lot of attitude, so I can't see her being stressed. But I don't know, I'll make a few changes. I got some of that, what's it called? That feel away stuff. It's got pretty good reviews, so I'm going to try that and see if it makes a difference. And if it doesn't, I guess we wait for the next bout and go back to the vet and maybe see if there's something else that it could possibly be. I have noticed an increased appetite in her though since she's been on meds. She got a long-acting antibiotic. The vet asked if she was good at taking pills, and I told her absolutely not. It's a war for everybody involved. I usually end up with quite a few scratches, and then it stresses her out and she throws up right after anyways, so not very good. So she got a long-lasting shot, and then I do have to give her pain meds every night for 5 nights. I think we only have tonight and tomorrow left, or maybe just tonight, I can't remember. But she's not a big fan of that. That has been upsetting her tummy a little bit, but she has been eating more as well, so kind of good and bad, I guess. I'm just gonna grab one of my references here so I can see what is Skyee and what is leaves. I feel like this is going to be branch. These long ones I feel like should be branches. I wonder if these should be branches too. I'm going to color them as leaves. If they're like super long, then I'll color them as branches. But let's see. This can be leaf. There's actually a lot more leaves than it first looked like. We're going to be coloring leaves for a while. Now I'm glad that I didn't pick like a super complicated color for them. We do have 5 Fridays for September, so I tried to pick a few more detailed pages for our channel members to choose from. have to admit though, I wasn't the most excited about this page. There was a few other ones that I would have rather they picked, but this one is beautiful and it does always catch my eye, so it'll be fun to finally color it. And that's one good thing about letting them vote is they kind of pick pages that I would probably be like, I don't feel ready to color that one yet. Torn on this one right here. I can't even find it on the one that I'm looking at. Let's see, we've got this branch. Okay, so she did this one and left that as Sky. I'll do that too, because it looks okay. Boys were being butt heads. I just had to gently remind them that I'm recording. I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit here because there is a lot of detail in this page, and I'll probably record, you know, roughly hour and a half parts up until close to the end, because I never know if we actually need them. So I'd rather start recording parts that are a little bit longer in case I need it, and then the last few parts, if I don't need them longer, they can just be a little bit shorter. That's totally fine, but I would like to get a little bit more than just the leaves colored in this part, so don't want to be coloring too slowly. I want to have a little bit of the sky peeking through this one because it's quite long. Or thick, I mean quite thick. Do you want the tree to have a curve in it like that? I don't think so. I think this one should be leaf. I'm a little bit torn on the mushrooms too. I don't know exactly what color I want them to be. I don't want to do them red and white at all. Red is just, if you've been on the channel a lot, you know, or if you've been, sorry, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that I have like a love-hate relationship with the color red. I don't use it a lot. It is a very, very bold color. I feel like it doesn't really go well unless your page is like mostly like reds, yellows, oranges, or maybe I just suck with the color red. I don't know. But yeah, I don't use it a lot. Should this be green? I don't know what this is, so let's make it leaf. Yeah, I want to keep this more like natural and muted, and I know that, you know, red mushrooms are natural. I totally get it, but they would just stand out way too much if they're red. So I don't know. We'll play that by ear. I'm like itching to color the mushrooms though, because they always look so pretty. I might just do the mushrooms gray or like a tan color, depending on what color we do the trees. Still torn between doing gray or brown. I'm just unsure. There's so many different ways I can go with this page, especially that are just on my brain, and I can't picture what it would look like any which way, which makes it really hard to make a decision. I feel like that should be sky, but I'm going to color it as a leaf. All right, I think that's all the leaves. So let's move on to our next color, which is going to be the moss green. So this I'm going to color in over our espresso a little bit, and I'm just going to bring it out. I'm going to try to leave as much light area as I can for our lightest color, which is going to be the lime peel. I don't need every single leaf to be light, so some of these smaller ones I might just color in mostly with the moss green. I will be going over every single leaf with the lime peel regardless, but we want a little bit of variation. Some can be darker versions, some can be lighter. It'll add to the interest of the page. I'm gonna try not to jump around too much here, otherwise I might end up missing a leaf or two, which, I mean, wouldn't be a big deal, but I'm going to try not to do that. I'm also very excited because I have tomorrow and Tuesday left for work, and then I'm on holidays for a couple weeks. I do work a few days in between there as well to kind of help boost up my paycheck, because when I booked my holidays off, I was still working with Hannah, so I wasn't really too worried. I didn't have as many days that I needed to fill with vacation pay as I do now to make up the income. So it's a little bit unfortunate. Thankfully, I had 15 days booked off originally, and I was still able to keep 14 of those days. They're going to be a little bit rough paychecks, but I think we'll survive. It's worth it. I'm okay spending less so I can stay home for the end of the summer with Carbon, and I have his first day of school off, so I'm really excited for that. I'm not super excited. I'm actually sad for him to go back to school. I love hanging out with him, and I feel like I never get enough time, but it's exciting. He's going into grade 4. I'm hoping he loves his teacher this year too. He really liked his teacher last year. Unfortunately, his teacher had like a lot of health complications and stuff though, so he was actually gone for quite a while, like long periods of time, and there was no explanation as to why, just aside from, you know, health problems. But okay, I feel like these should probably be leaves. Once we start adding that color in, it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm gonna actually, yeah, let's take the espresso. Maybe not this one, but this one should be. Okay, so going with the espresso a little bit there. And then we can go back with the moss green here. And then this one, I want to add a little bit of the moss green just on the bottom here. I feel like this actually could have been Skyee, but oh well. I don't know what's white here. I'm trying to keep these pieces a little bit on the lighter side since they're kind of so scrawny, and I don't know what color the trees will be, so if they're gray, it's not going to be a problem. They'll stand out, but if we do them brown, then it might blend in a little bit, which isn't too big of a deal, but just try and keep it a little bit lighter, that way it's a little bit more noticeable. Those details are nice to have. All right, my hand is nice and sore now. I literally have not colored, I think, since our last color along, so haven't really had the time or honestly the motivation. All right, let's go in with our lime peel. So I'm going to start in at the bottoms of these and go upwards. And I'm going to go over all of it, kind of blend it together. I wonder if this can be tree, that's fine. Yep, this is pretty. I like this. I'm going to sharpen this pencil just a little bit. And it broke. I think I need a new pencil sharpener. This one seems to be constantly breaking my pencils, and at this point I don't think it's the pencils, I do think it's the pencil sharpener. Yep, broken again. It doesn't help that I've been using the same pencil sharpener for probably like the last 6 years, if not longer, so. I think in this kind of branch area, I'm just going to go through and color pretty much all of this in with the lime peel. Might as well. If I leave like little tiny bits of sky like that, I think I'll just forget about them. So I want the sky pieces to be a little bit bigger. I'm a little nervous to look at how long this has taken us. I'm fine with having, and this is a little bit small, but I'm gonna leave it as the sky, I think. Just because it doesn't really make sense to have those two connected. It's pretty cool how much the lime peel changes the color of this though. Apologies if you can hear my crazy overprotective dog. He likes to bark at everything. I think this is supposed to be a leaf. I'm gonna color it in as one, just because I think that would look weird to do that as bark. I think it's a leaf hanging off of this branch here. Hopefully that's all of them. All right, now, moment of truth. How long did that take us? Oof. Wow, a lot longer than I thought it was going to, which, I mean, it's not surprising, actually. I'm always thinking like, oh, that's not gonna take long, and then, yeah, 5 years later. 5 years and it's done. Okay. So I'm just looking at my Snow White page because you need to see the background. So I kind of like to do the background is kind of like, I don't like to have it even. So I kind of like to do like more of like a rounded look like this when I'm doing a sunrise. And usually when I'm doing a sunset, it's the opposite. I'll usually have it kind of curved a little bit. So let's kind of figure out where our colors are going to be. I'm just going to kind of sharpen these as I go because most of these are pretty dull. But we're just going to base out where our colors will be. So let's see, I'm going to pull up my reference again so I can see where the sky starts. Just a little bit easier seeing somebody's colored page because then you can kind of see what's what. When it's all black and white, it's very hard to tell. I don't want to do a whole lot with the sunburst yellow. I do want to kind of bring this up slightly, maybe about here. We'll have a little bit here. Not much at all, though, I don't think. Okay, I think the jasmine is going to be our next color. Don't need a whole bunch of this one either, but we'll bring it up a little ways. Maybe like about here, let's have like a little bit kind of coming up over this cloud to kind of fade into. This might not be super easy for you guys to see. I apologize for that. Okay, so our next color is technically the cream. This is more of like a transition color that I like to use between the blues and the yellows, just because blue and yellow obviously will make green and we don't want that. So mixing the cream kind of makes it less likely. So I think at this point we'll actually start from the bottom and work our way down a little bit. We've got to be mindful of what's tree though. We don't want to accidentally color a tree. Okay, so I think, see, this tree kind of comes up here. I can imagine it would go like this, so we can probably do a little bit of sky here. So we can have it coming down a little bit further on the sides to kind of create that rounded look that I was talking about. I'm going really, really light. I don't want to go too, I don't want to go in too heavy with the blues, especially. Oh, I had a panic attack here. I'm like, oh my God, that should have been tree, but nope, this is the top of that tree. We're good for now. This will be sky. This tree, I would imagine, kind of comes up. I don't know. There's not really much of an ending point for this, even though I would imagine. Actually, this. Oh, this is her. This is her hands. Oh, okay, I see what's going on now. All right, I'm getting better. Okay, so these are technically like her fingers. So kind of comes down this way. I don't know where this one comes from. You kind of pretend it branches off of here. So I'd imagine this is part of this one, not this one. So this one, I don't really want to color that as sky right there. So that'll be tree kind of going all the way up. This we can color in as sky just because we'll have it a little bit darker, so it won't be super noticeable. This will be sky. This we can bring down a little further. Okay, and it looks like this tree kind of frames our whole picture, so this goes all the way up to the top. That's fine there. We might not even get to the clouds in this part. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. All right, peacock blue is next. I think I want a fair bit of this one. I don't want too much, but a lot of what we colored with the indigo blue will be the peacock blue. We're just gonna use the indigo to kind of darken it up a little ways. So maybe let's have this kind of fading out here. So yeah, we still have 4 colors to go through, so definitely want to save some room. It's probably good for now. Aquamarine, we can always add more. We're working very, very lightly here, so we can always go in and add more. But I always make the mistake where I add way too much shadow, and it's a lot harder to take away shadow than it is to add more. So I'm working very quickly on purpose. I don't want to overthink this. Okay, that's looking good. We have one more blue, technically. I'm not counting the sky blue because that's the sky blue and the cream are kind of my transition colors. So we can add a fair bit of the light aqua here, or bring up a fair bit of the yellow, which I'm kind of debating. I think it'd be kind of cool to have more blue on this side and more yellow on this side. So I think I might actually bring the yellow up a ways here, but we'll see. We'll see, it's still early. So I don't want to bring the blue down too far just in case I decide to do that. Okay, I think I like that. Let's go in with our, oh, am I in frame? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, we're good. I had a little panic attack there. Oh my gosh. All right. All right. So I'm just using little small circles. Just lightly going over this area to darken it up, get rid of the white. I don't really even have to burnish. See, this will be with this color. I don't want to go too orange though, so let's kind of start fading that out about here. That looks pretty. I'm not going to go nearly as dark on this side. I just want to put in a little bit more of this color and then fade it out. I'm not going to have too much yellow on this side. Okay, that's probably it for the sunburst yellow. Let's go in with the jasmine now. So I'm going to bring this over top of where we faded out with the sunburst and bring it out from there. This is more of a muted yellow, so I'm okay having more of this one. can even kind of color over the sunburst yellow to mute that out a little ways. I just about colored this piece. I mean, we technically could, but then her hair is not going to look as full, so I'm going to leave it. Start fading that out right about here. So climbing up a little bit further on this side. I'm kind of breaking my rule. So I'm going to have more of like a this shape and then a this shape on the top. So they're kind of weird. We'll see what happens. I think it'll look good, but I've been wrong before. We'll make it look good. It'll be all good. Okay, so fade that out nicely. Bring it over here, and over here we don't want nearly as much. We want to bring it up a little bit, then we're going to fade it right back out. So I think what this will do is it'll kind of create like a fisheye. So, you know, the bottom being like this and then the top being like this. And I think that'll actually work in our benefit because I think that'll kind of focus in on her face. But we'll kind of see. I might not know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go into the cream here. I'm going to go pretty firmly over the jasmine, and then I'm just going to fade this out. I'm going to leave a little bit of white space in between the cream and the light blue, or the light aqua, I mean. And that'll be for our sky blue light. Add a little bit of the cream up here and fade it out right about here, I think. I'm going to bring the cream down into here to help dilute this a bit. And do the same on this side. It already looks so pretty. Okay, from there, I think here's where we might want to start working from the sky downwards. We're going to skip the indigo blue for now, and we're going to dive straight in with the peacock blue, just because I find it easier to go in and create the shadow a little bit after. So let's bring this down. And I think we're going to keep the blues roughly about the same as where they are. So let's fade this one out right about here. Let's bring it down a little ways, just on the end. So I'm not fully burnishing or anything quite yet. We're going to get a good amount of color in there, and then we'll go in with our darker color, and then we'll bring this one back in again and go over. Okay, I think about down to here. Let's sharpen this just a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's good. I'm actually a little bit worried that if I add more of the indigo blue that it might end up looking too dark. I don't know if I want that. So let's just go straight on into the aquamarine for now. I'm pretty confident in where the peacock blue ends, so Just kind of blend the aquamarine up into that. Bring it down a little bit and then fade it out. I do think that looks really pretty. I don't think I want to darken it up any. Leaning more on that side. I kind of like how it is so far. So each time I go in with my next lightest color, I'm still just kind of bringing it up over everything. This kind of helps blend everything together a little bit more seamlessly, and then it also kind of helps get rid of the white of the paper. This is Create Space paper, or like Amazon paper, if you will. I don't know if they're the same anymore. I think Amazon has its own paper. Either way, it's still not the greatest. So it is a little bit more difficult to get the white to kind of disappear on this paper. So if we don't like the look of the speckledness underneath, we can use a blender pencil, or we can go in with a lighter pencil color or white even, and kind of blend and get rid of the white of the paper if we need to. see what time we're at now. Not doing too bad, actually. I think we should be able to finish this up around the hour and a half mark, I mean. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom with this as dark as I probably should. I'm going to create a little bit of like a glow around her hair. So I've kind of faded it off there. Oh, my wrist is on fire. Should probably be wearing a brace. Okay, this is looking promising so far. Let's go in with our sky blue light. I'm going to get a nice sharp point on this one. Same as before, just using little tiny circles, and I'm gonna bring this up all the way to the top. This one looks like it's actually gonna burnish it, so should be good here. And this is a good color to burnish the blue with because it will lighten it up a little bit, but it'll keep it blue. Like for example, if we burnished it with the white would kind of pale and dull out the color a little bit. This won't so much do that. So you can already see quite a difference between the two. And fade this out quite a bit. It's very light, so again, my apologies if you guys can't see it. All right. I wonder if we should bring the yellow up even more. I know we've already put the cream in, but let's maybe bring the jasmine up a little bit. I think right about there is good. We can darken it up a little bit down here. Make sure that we've got a nice fade going out. And then last but not least, we'll go in with the cream. Make sure it's clean. Don't want to end up with any random color here. And we're going to kind of bring this up into the blues just a little bit. I wonder if this should be sky or if it should be hair. I'm just going to go through and see what others did that as. So we got hair. Sky. 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 I think I like it as hair better. So we're gonna do that as hair. Kind of like we did with the sky blue light. I'm just gonna bring the cream down a little bit. There, I think that looks good. I don't mind it anyways. It turned out a little bit differently than I had planned, but I think it still kind of gives off the illusion that the sun is kind of rising from like in around this area. Yeah, I think it looks good. I think that's a good place to stop it too, which is perfect because we are just at an hour and a half. If you are liking this color along so far, if you could give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It kind of helps get it out there for other people who might enjoy seeing it. So big thank you there if you've liked this video. And I think we're going to leave it here, and I will hopefully see you guys in part 2. All right, guys, as always, take care and see you next time. Bye.